check out this crazy bubble wrap. So EasySMX sent me 2 controllers to test out. I got a dragon and white style, 2 USB dongles. Taking a quick look at the box, it's just plain logos everywhere. A few stats in the back. So let's do the reveal in the same time here. Okay, not that smooth. Very nice matte white. It reminds me of the matte white finish that Xbox controllers use. Rubber grips, 4 rear buttons. Very nice joysticks and very nice shiny keys. This feels like another step into better quality compared to their previous controllers that I also reviewed. Check the description below. My very first impression is, dang, this is actually very nice. I'm a big fan of the matte white finish here. Onto a dragon design. Ooh, even nicer. This gives me like Dragon Ball Z vibes. Very smooth, matte finish, but it has a very nicely printed design of a very cool dragon. By the way, you can also get this controller on their website in black. You just can get it plain, which is still very nice, or an extremely nicely printed design. USB-C to charge. I am very happy with the feel of these triggers. This is probably the best looking and best feeling third-party controller I've ever had. Let's just take one more look. I don't think the awesomeness of this matte print translates on camera as well, but hopefully you can at least get even just a little bit of the awesomeness. And then inside the boxes, we get the same USB Type-C cable to charge, a feedback and review card, game controller manual. So here's a layout of all the buttons. Battery capacity should last around 10 hours. You can connect to your Android to PC. Turbo functionality, adjust the vibration motor strengths, program the 4 rear buttons to function like any of the face buttons or triggers. So you can actually program the rear buttons to work as one of these triggers or as the joystick clicks as well. To sync the controller to the Switch, you go to Controllers, change grip order. Then you hold home button and the Y button until the lights start flashing, and then it automatically connects to the Switch. The nice LED backlit ABXY buttons. Ooh. After the initial pairing is complete, all you have to do is hit the home button to turn on the controller and automatically reconnect with the system. When you're connecting it for the first time, you have to hold both buttons. You can see both controllers have been connected flawlessly. So by default, the 4 back keys are already set to ABXY. You don't have to remove your thumb off the joysticks in order to hit these keys now. So it makes it a lot easier and a lot more pro to be able to play shooting games without having to remove your thumb off the joysticks. When you use this controller, you'll notice the joysticks are really more sensitive. They have a very exaggerated acceleration curve. They're also a bit more stiff, which requires a lot more fine thumb movements to move your aiming precisely. It helps a lot by lowering the sensitivity within your game, and after playing with the controller for a few hours, you get more used to the acceleration curve of the joysticks, and especially Halo Infinite has an in-game aim assist, which greatly reduces this problem with the joystick. You can see after playing for a few hours, and with the in-game aim assist, I find my aim became pretty decent and I was able to hit a lot of headshots. When it comes to pressing these buttons, they actually feel very comfortable, very smooth and very satisfying to press. These rear buttons, especially these two on the side, it's very easy. The two on the top here though, kind of get pressed up against your nails. So you kind of use like the side of your finger or nails to hit. It's not that uncomfortable, but if you were to hit these a lot, and you play for like hours and hours hitting these, it might actually start to irritate your nails or the edge of your fingers. The joystick clicks, they're actually very nice. They're very silent and very satisfying. It feels really legit. It feels like very similar to official style Pro controllers. So using the D-pad in this game isn't really needed for gameplay. You just really use it for like emotes and stuff. Either way, hitting the D-pad, very smooth. It's very satisfying, very easy. I feel like if you were to play a game that requires hitting this D-pad a lot, you would be totally fine with it. So I like to use Breath of the Wild to test if there's motion controls, and yes, there is. After 5 minutes of inactivity, the controller will automatically power off for battery saving. If you just hold L and R bumper for a pretty long time, about 10 seconds, then the lights will automatically turn off for a quick way to just save some extra power there. And by holding it for another 10 seconds, it turns back on. Holding ZL, ZR, and the left click allows you to change the brightness. 4 levels of brightness from very dim to very bright. By default on the Nintendo Switch, this is the screenshot button. This is also the turbo function button for this controller. You need to press this button as well as click the right joystick in the same time. So by doing that, you now switch this into turbo button mode, and you can see pressing this no longer takes any screenshots. What you can do in turbo function mode, if I press B, I jump in the game. If I hold B, nothing happens. I jump once and the game has no registered function for holding down B. If I hold down B and hit the turbo button, you can see the lights flashing here, because now when I hold down B, the controller triggers it as a continuous button mashing of B. Now, while holding down B, if I hit the turbo function again, the lights stop blinking, so turbo function's turned off. And you can do that with any of these buttons, or as well as the triggers here. If I keep smashing Y, then I keep doing my quick attacks. If I hold Y, the game registers holding Y as charging up, but if I switch this to turbo mode, as in holding down Y and hitting turbo, you can see now Link does his quick attacks while holding down Y, because you can see the lights blinking here. The controller is registering I'm just smashing Y down. But now I can't do Link's charged up sword spin move because the controller is in turbo mode. So while holding down the button, hit turbo again, and now it deactivates turbo mode and switches back to button held down mode. Each individual button saves the turbo function independently. If I hit the turbo button while holding Y, it registers it, but if I hold down B, it's not registered. So I just hit turbo again to register it. Now both B and Y are registered in turbo mode. If you forget which ones you trigger into turbo mode, it's easy to tell because the LED at the bottom will keep flashing if it's in turbo mode, and it doesn't flash if it's not in turbo mode. See, if I hold the trigger, I only shoot once, or you can just use turbo mode. And now just holding down the trigger, the bullet spread ends up getting really bad. Oh yeah. Another feature during turbo mode is if you hold down the turbo button and then you press up and down on the D-pad, you can increase or decrease the strength of the vibration or completely turn it off. If I hit up, it goes to level 1, 25%. I hit up twice, 50%. 3 lights, 75%, and all 4 lights is 100%. An example here, when playing Gluttonous Kirby here, every time you roll around as Kirby, this controller vibrates like crazy. It is actually pretty ridiculous. I find it very unnecessarily strong. it's just gonna kill the battery and just like irritate your hands over time. So that's where a good feature where you can lower the intensity of the vibration or completely shut it off. Now you can roll around without having that very unnecessary vibration messing you up. In the booklet here it says M1 by default is B, M2 is A, M3 is Y, and M4 is X. But what if you want to change that? So what you would want to do is hold down one of the 4 keys you want. For example, let's do M3, this key here. If I hold down M3 and I hit minus the back button, you can see all the lights turn on here. The controller is now in binding mode. So if I hit B and then I hit M3 at the bottom again to confirm, the lights reset back to just the top, and now M3 is bound to the button B. So right now I have both M1 and M3 set to jumping with B. What's cool about this is that you can actually save multiple key presses. For example, if you wanted to hit B and Y in the same time. So you hold down the button you want to program, you hit the minus, and then now you hit both B and Y, and then you hit the same button to confirm at the bottom. And now when you hit this key, it should be hitting B and Y in the same time. Link can't really show you that right now, but what I could show you, keep hitting L. All it does is pull up the Sheikah slate. If I just hit R without the Sheikah slate up, then Link pulls out his sword. He actually wants to throw the sword. I need to pull the Sheikah slate with L and then hit R to take a picture. So now I can show you the combination. If I hit and set one of the back buttons and then I hit both L and R and then I hit the same back button to confirm. Now by hitting just this back button, it jumps straight into photo mode, hitting L and hitting R in the same time. That is extra cool. And say you made a mess of all of the functions in the back and you just want to reset it to their default functions, just hold any one of these 2 keys and hold any one of these 2. It doesn't matter, just hold both, and you have to wait about 10 seconds. You could feel the controller vibrate, meaning it reset any functions you programmed, and these just are now back to their default values shown here in the book. But there's another cool feature in this controller. You can actually set up macro programming. And what the difference is that the macro would actually record multiple button presses and the time in between each button press. So you need to hit B, and while in the air you need to attack. Link does that downward slash. You hit both B and Y in the same time. He does not do that downward slash. So in the same way, you hold down any button that you want to program, and this time you hit the plus. All the lights turn on to tell you you're in macro programming mode. So now I will hit B and then I will hit Y. The same key, register that program. So now when I hit this key, it actually doesn't work because I think I took too long to do that. So I'm going to program it again, and this time I'm gonna do it faster, B, Y, and then end the program. So now you can see there when I hit the bottom button, Link automatically does his downward slash because it's registering me hitting B and then Y with a slight delay in between. Set up a whole bunch of things here. Jump with downward slash, open the Sheikah slate, take a picture. So now by hitting this, Link does his downward slash, and then it automatically takes a picture, just like I told it to. And once again, you want to delete it, just hold any 2 keys on both sides, and you just keep holding it. Just keep holding it until you feel, there we go, the rumble. And that means it has now been reset, and now I won't do this crazy jump slash picture taking thing when I hit the button. Especially games like Hyrule Warriors, instead of constantly button mashing your attack, you can just turbo mode it and hold down the attack button. It might actually save your fingers over time. And if you find it difficult to do a combo, say this slash attack like here, you can just program one of the back keys to do that combo. Now you set it, hit this key once, and you can see Zelda automatically doing the triple YX combo. When you turn off your system, the controller automatically shuts off itself. All you have to do is hold the home key to turn on the controller, and it should automatically turn on the system, and you're good to go. So there's no need to actually physically touch the system, especially if you keep it in docked mode. And once again, don't forget to hit the screenshot key and the right trigger in the same time to switch between screenshot and turbo functions. Quickly comparing the controller to the official Nintendo Pro controller, you can see it's basically the exact same shape and size as the controller. I actually find it's more comfortable holding the EasySMX controller because of these grips, and your middle fingers just rest very nicely in between these back buttons. It feels very comfortable. The triggers are better on the EasySMX. Nintendo uses just these plain buttons. Meanwhile, these triggers are linear style triggers, so it's not just a button press, it actually gradually increases and decreases in its button strength. So triggers I like better. A, B, X, Y keys are basically the same thing. They feel great, but these ones have the gangster LED lights. The D-pad on the EasySMX is more rounded on the edges, while Nintendo has a more sharp edge. If this sharp edge over time irritates your finger, you might have a better time with the more rounded D-pad. And you get the added back button function on the EasySMX that Nintendo does not have, as well as the rumble. The rumble in the EasySMX is way better than Nintendo's rumble. Nintendo has a very weak, noisy rumble in the controller. EasySMX's motor is very strong, silent, and it's 10 times better than Nintendo's. Plus, you can also easily shut it off if you don't want it. The only place where this controller falls short would be the joysticks. The Nintendo joysticks, it is easier to move around, so it has a bit more precision. You don't have to push as hard to hit tiny movements. SMX joystick, you have to hit a bit harder before the movement registers. Plus, the acceleration curve is very intense compared to the Nintendo's. So mostly only with shooter games, you would have to tweak your in-game sensitivity as well as spend some time to get used to these joysticks. But with every other game genre where you're not really shooting, then this minor difference in the joysticks probably would not even be a concern. Then when you look at everything you get, everything the official Nintendo controller can do, the EasySMX can do just as well or even better. Plus, the EasySMX has extra features like the back button and the turbo button, and it's half the price. You can literally buy 2 of these for the price of one of these. The only downfall would be the controller precision and sensitivity requires tweaking and getting used to. So you can look at all the pros versus the cons, and honestly, I find there are way more pros with the EasySMX, especially with its price point. Using this controller on your PC is very easy. Just plug it in using the USB cable, and while using the controller through the USB cable, it by default is in X input mode, which is shown with the first and fourth row of LEDs on. And X input mode is basically a programming scheme that came out in 2005, so most games probably have it. However, if you're playing older games that require direct input mode, you can hold the turbo button while connected to PC, then you'll see the second and third row of LED lights turn on, which means you have switched the controller to direct input mode, and you do the same to switch back to X input mode depending on the requirements of your game. If you happen to buy the controller with the USB dongle, you can actually plug that into a computer as well, and then just hold the home and Y buttons on the controller to search and resync to the USB dongle. Then you can use the controller on your PC wirelessly. So that's pretty much it. That's my review of the ESM-9124 controller. This is by far my favorite controller released by EasySMX. It's a very new, nice matte finish with rubber gripped aesthetic look. It looks so nice and it functions even nicer. It functions just as well or even better than their previous controllers, and all of the fine-tuned turbo functions are just very well done, well executed. I really enjoy these controllers. Definitely on my top list of third-party controllers, and definitely these are my new go-to controllers. If you want to check out more info on these controllers, check the link in the description to their website. You can also use my affiliate link to help support my channel, and a discount code can save you some money. Check the description below. I am really happy with these controllers, and I'm sure you would be too. Thanks for watching. Oh, Kirby, there you go again.